The Montana winds roared as if heralding an ancient legend, rattling branches heavy with snow and stirring the skeletal forest into life. Michael Thompson's boots crunched against the thickening drifts as he hurried down the narrow trail, his gloved hand clasped tightly around his daughter Luna's. Luna, only 12, blinked through her hood, cheeks flushed by the cold, her breath pluming in silver clouds. Ahead, their 3 massive German shepherds forged a path through ankle-deep snow, noses to the wind, heads held high. Each gust brought ice crystals dancing past their muzzles like fleeting spirits. Michael's pulse quickened. He could feel the temperature plummeting, and beyond the ridge, the sky was already bruising into storm grey. Would they make it home before the storm truly hit? Suddenly, the lead dog froze, ears pinned forward, a low woof curling from its chest. Its amber eyes locked on a fallen spruce that lay half buried in snow. The other 2 dogs skidded to a halt, shuffling forward in tandem. Luna's gasp split the hush. She pointed with a trembling finger. Michael's heart pounded as he pressed closer, chest tightening at the sight. Under the spruce lay a tiny bobcat kitten, so still it might have been carved from ice. Blood matted its tawny fur, a rivulet of crimson staining the white. Its cloudy blue eyes flickered once, then blinked. A shallow breath escaped its whiskered muzzle. Michael knelt, his breath misting, and slipped off his glove. His palm warmed against the kitten's flank, its body quivering like a leaf in a gale. Was its mother nearby? Trapped or worse? Faint trails of blood etched a path deeper into the forest, evidence of a cruel snare or trap. Michael, a wildlife biologist sworn to observe without interference, frowned. Protocol dictated leaving creatures to nature's law, yet below freezing threatened instant death. He glanced at the dogs. Instead of snarling at the intruder, they huddled protectively, the lead dog nudging the kitten gently, a growl of warning curling in its throat. Predator and predator, yet bound by compassion. Michael wiped snow from beneath his kneecap, rose and whispered to Luna, "We can't leave it here." With a heavy lift, he scooped the kitten into his coat. Heart thundering, was he about to save a life or doom a wild soul? Back in the Thompson farmhouse, wood smoke curling through open windows, Rebecca Thompson abandoned her evening calm. A veterinarian by training, she strode into the kitchen as Michael eased the quivering bundle onto a blanket. Her practiced hands checked reflexes, noted hypothermia's downward drag, and tugged at ribs too thin for life to flourish. She murmured clinical observations beneath her breath, core temperature, heart rate, respiratory effort, all whispered to notebooks and to the kitten's silent struggle. Once warmed with heated pads and nutrient slurries, Rebecca sighed, unsure whether she'd saved a life or merely prolonged the inevitable. She tucked Scout, so named by Luna, into a cardboard box lined with blankets, telling her husband in a low voice, "It's a miracle if it survives the night." Would morning bring life or cold stillness? Dawn crept in pale and silent, but the box was warm, and inside it, Scout had not only lived, but thrived. The 3 shepherds circled her like sentinels, their bodies forming a living fortress against the chill. The lead dog lay closest, flank pressed to Scout's, offering shared warmth and a steady heartbeat to lean on. Luna's delighted laugh rang in the kitchen as she knelt, brushing back Scout's matted fur. "She's a fighter," Rebecca admitted, wonder softening her tone. That night, Scout had curled among dogs that should have been foes, and yet treated her as one of their own. How had this tiny wildcat learned loyalty so quickly? For days, the world beyond the farm grid vanished under the heaviest snowfall in Montana memory. Drifts buried the lane, lines went silent, the outside world became a frozen myth. While roads were impassable and officials unreachable, Scout's transformation accelerated. She shed her lethargy, eyes clearing, ribs filling out into lean muscle. But it was her mannerisms that startled Michael most. She stalked with the confident, steady gait of the shepherds, head held level. When he called her name, she obeyed, an honor no wild bobcat granted lightly. She chased tennis balls in full throttle pursuit, each leap echoing canine delight. Sometimes she tried, half-heartedly, to bark, producing a curious chuff between growl and mew. Was this imprinting or something deeper? An instinctual yearning for pack belonging. Michael, ever the scientist, began recording observations in meticulous detail. Under the lab's stark light, Scout's ears perked at commands. Her posture mirrored the lead dog exactly when he sat. She tugged at rope toys with practiced vigor, teeth flashing white. Luna giggled one afternoon as Scout, mid-bound, paused, cocked her head, then barked, a single echoing sound that hung between meow and woof. "She thinks she's one of the dogs," Luna whispered, fingers unfurling across soft fur. Michael's pen hovered. Could social bonding reshape an apex predator's instincts? 4 months unfurled like pages in a journal. Scout blossomed into a sturdy adolescent bobcat. Spotted flanks, powerful shoulders, yet the shepherd's code was etched into her soul. Dawn found her awake in the kennel beside the dogs. Dusk saw her on patrol, padding perimeter watch as though sworn to protect the farmhouse. At twilight, she nestled among the three, breath deep and even. Luna captured it all on video. Scout herding the smallest dog gently back into line, Scout crouching low before the largest sheepdog, as if rehearsing a guardian's ritual. Within hours of posting, the farm buzzed with notifications. Neighbours arrived in snow-spattered trucks, phones aloft, eyes wide in disbelief. A bobcat so wild yet so tame, what marvel had they unearthed? When ploughs finally carved the lane free, Ranger Martinez trunched up the driveway, hat brim heavy with icicles. He'd come on official orders, unauthorized possession of wildlife. Scout padded forward at his approach, tail high, as though greeting an old friend rather than a law enforcer. Martinez stilled, brow lifting in surprise, but the law was clear. No claws, no permits. Michael calmly submitted paperwork for a special wildlife keeping permit. Heart tight with hope. Days stretched as Rebecca and Luna canvassed online petitions, rallying curious onlookers and outraged citizens. Would public will bend the unyielding law? The permit denial arrived like winter's final blow. Scout must be surrendered for reintroduction, back to the wild she no longer recognized. Luna's video appeal, tears shining in her cheeks, amassed millions of views overnight. Pressure mounted on Helena Lash, director of the Montana Wildlife Conservation Department, to reconsider. Soon, a trio of experts arrived. Lash herself, a renowned zoologist, and Ranger Martinez. They watched Scout move, her lithe body a perfect fusion of feline and shepherd grace. She responded to hand signals, trotted at the call of her name. A case without precedent, Lash murmured. But precedent shaped the law, and law brooked no exceptions. Should Scout be torn from her family or granted mercy? After long debate, a compromise emerged. Scout would be released into a wilderness zone some 100 miles distant, but tracked by a GPS collar. If she adapted, freedom would be hers. If not, the department would reassess. Release day dawned cold and grey. Luna clung to Scout one last time, tears staining Whiskers. Rebecca packed 2 weeks of special food. Scout would have to learn to hunt. The dogs howled in protest as the Rangers lifted the transport crate onto their truck. The lead dog braced at the door, eyes blazing loyalty. Michael placed the GPS collar around Scout's neck, voice quivering. "Be brave," he whispered. Would Scout seize her chance at wild freedom or long for her pack? In a lush valley, cradled by pine-lined ridges, the cage door opened. Scout emerged, a cautious shadow among whispering grass. She inhaled deep, nostrils flaring as if tasting winds of destiny. For a heartbeat, she looked back, at Michael, at Luna, at the farmhouse that had been her world. Then, a rustle in nearby brush ignited her instincts. She sprung forward. Muscles coiled and released in a flash of tawny lightning. With a final glance, she vanished into forest green. Luna's sobs echoed against silent peaks. Would Scout survive alone at last? Back home, the 3 dogs abandoned all gaiety. They sat in forlorn vigil on the porch, eyes fixed on distant timberline. Each hour, Luna scanned the GPS feed, numbers dancing across her phone, as Scout began to chart her course. The first days brought hope. Slow, cautious progress, zigzagging toward water and shelter. Then the journey accelerated. Michael calculated. 30 miles in 5 days, vast for a bobcat in foreign terrain. He tracked her crossing 2 rivers, one swollen with spring thaw, by finding a narrower channel and swimming across, a feat no textbook bobcat would dare. What guided her? A painted map on memory or something unseen? Day 7 brought the highway challenge. The GPS hovered at roadside coordinates as hours slipped by. Scout hiding in embankment brush, heart thrumming with fear. Then, blink, a rapid dash across asphalt. Body low and silent, then gone. Michael's voice trembled as he read out the coordinates to Rebecca. She waited for the gap, then seized it. Could raw courage alone chart homeward? On the 12th night, the screen went dark. The GPS strap had snapped. Last ping in rocky, densely wooded hills, just 40 miles out. Michael and Luna drove themselves ragged, searching hollows and caves, calling her name until their voices cracked. Rebecca alerted every ranger station and animal hospital within 100 miles. Hope frayed with each passing hour. Was Scout injured? Lost? Gone forever? 3 days passed in a haze of dread. Then, on dinner's gloomy eve, the dogs leapt as though struck by lightning. The lead dog tore to the door, furious barks tearing the night. Michael yanked it open, and there, bathed in pale moonlight, stood Scout. Thin, dirty, collar lost, but eyes fierce and bright. For a moment, all was suspended. Man, girl, dogs, Bobcat. One tableau of wild reunion. As Scout padded forward, tail high and limp, Dodge surged to meet her. Would this wilderness survivor ever forget her family? In the weeks that followed, Michael mapped Scout's path. Over 100 miles of peaks, streams, highways, Bobcat territories, all navigated with unerring purpose. Experts speculated on geomagnetic senses or eidetic terrain memory, but Michael knew the truth. It was love. Bond deeper than instinct, tether stronger than wilderness. When Ranger Martinez arrived next morning, he could only mutter in wonder, "They don't do this." Helena Lash returned personally, observing Scout as she raced with the youngest dog, patrolled beside the lead, and curled in a circle of 4 at dusk. "This defies every rule," she admitted, pen hovering over permit forms. Yet defy they did. A new category of permit, unprecedented in Montana history, was granted. Scout would remain on the Thompson farm under scientific study. Her bond with dogs, a lesson for all. A year later, the farm welcomed student groups and researchers eager to glimpse the Bobcat who thought she was a shepherd. Michael's paper appeared in journals. Luna, now 14, brinned with ambition to become a zoologist. Early mornings found Scout perched atop a rocky outcrop in her spacious enclosure, gaze sweeping the land with the same loyal watchfulness as her canine family. In that moment, no one doubted she had found her true home. Scout's journey, from a whiskered whisper of life in a blood-soaked den to a celebrated ambassador of interspecies kinship, proved a profound truth. Sometimes, love and belonging can chart their own wild path, stronger than instinct, deeper than the forest's darkest night. And family, in its richest sense, is not marked by birth, but by the hearts that hold you close.